Okay, so back when I was like really young in primary school, I learned tic-tac-toe. But something that struck me after playing a few times is that there's a limited place that you can place. And I started drawing every single possibility. If I put here and he put here and I put here, he has to put here and blah, 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 blah. Okay, this is what's going to happen. And then I draw another scenario and I basically make a list to the point where if I know the guy knows how to play, on the second move, we'll just say, okay, let's start all over. And then it killed the game for me. Like, do you know if you put, let's say I start first, I play at the middle. If you put anywhere other than the corners, you lose.
Yeah. Oh yeah. No, I did this too when I was a kid. Totally. Yeah. And you just, if the person knows, there's no point. Like if you and I played tic-tac-toe, every single game would be a draw forever.
I kind of did that to Warframe.
I have a counterexample for you. So tic-tac-toe, and you wrote out all those things. The first thing that came to mind for me was chess. And it's a common depiction of high-level chess is how you look at a board and in your head you try to simulate all the possible outcomes. But it's very, very, very difficult. And like for a human, it approaches being impossible. It's almost just impossible. That's how I feel. I feel like if you feel like Warframe is like tic-tac-toe, I feel like it's chess. I feel like when I try to make my framework series, which is just like every single build that I think there's any point in discussing, it's either uniquely bad or uniquely good. There are so many that it feels like there is a defined number, like you can do all of them, but there's like the number is large enough that you like almost can't. And so trying to sort of like contain the chaos and like make it be this organized thing is fascinating to me.
Another thing about chess is there's a competitive aspect to it where you're like trying to defeat or outsmart someone else. But Warframe doesn't have that kind of competitive feel. It's very PvE, everyone's like doing their own thing.
So I totally get what you mean, and I think that the thing that makes the difference, it's we were saying before, it's tic-tac-toe or chess. I was initially saying chess, it's more complicated, so that's why you can like continue getting into it, but I don't think that's what it is. I think it's just some mysterious romantic fascination with like I just want to do this for the sake of doing this thing. To be honest with you, when I've said to you, you know, we weren't recording this, we were just talking, and I've said to you, I want to make videos partially because I just need to, like that's the thing keeping my channel going, but I kind of like that as a goal. That's not true now that I think about it more. Like I just want to make the thing. I don't know why. I just have to make the thing. Like it's not because people need me to. I could finagle my way out of it and do something else if I absolutely hated it, but I don't. Like I just want to make the thing. I don't know what to tell you.
Would
And
you make the thing knowing that no one will watch it?
yes, I think I would. And so you said to me this thing about like you optimize the thing until you have all the examples of tic-tac-toe, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I think only once you have done that do you know whether you really like the thing or not. And then for you, it's like you made this impressive catalog of Warframe analysis and discussion videos. And only once you get to that point do you know, oh, I wouldn't say I don't like this thing, but I'm done with this thing. You know what I mean? Which is like, but you got to the end already. And to me, it's like, well, it's just the beginning.
I feel like in Warframe, everyone's doing their own thing. I actually feel lonely when I go into a mission.
Yeah, no, I agree. Like playing co-op in Warframe means nothing to me. Like the other, it's not like the other players, I'm not like, this is not an opportunity to interact. They're just like, incidentally, the mission is populated by three other people, but it's not like part of the game. And I think the thing is for Warframe, like I feel like a lot of the current player base wants that. Like that's the thing they like about the game. But I can't offer you a reason why.
I kind of disagree. I feel like they don't want this. It's just that the game is designed that you don't need to work together. It's just so much easier to not converse and just end the mission.
I completely agree that Warframe is structured in a way for you to not converse. It's easier not to. I totally agree, just to be clear. I was just saying, I also think that the current audience considers that to be a positive thing about Warframe. Like, to them, that is a benefit of playing this game.
I feel like most people wouldn't really play Warframe for the story, do they? Let's say you're a new player right now. You come into Warframe, you learn about Vor, okay? And then before you even clear Vor, you have Cetus. And then you learn Cetus. And then after that, there's the other open world, and now there's a third open world. And besides all the open world,
there's too many simultaneous things. That's what
yeah,
you're saying.
so it just became a mess, and then after that, I'm just like lost. So I find it hard to keep up with the story. I actually remake my account because I want to go through the story, which I ended up couldn't. I feel like some of the things doesn't really link properly. Even if it does, they don't make it very obvious.
Well, I think one of the core issues is that many of these story threads that are meant to just kind of emerge from the environment whenever you get to them, that are meant to be simultaneous, were also meant to be followed up on in other content that they have not made. So, for example, like, I think a lot of them are incomplete. Like, there are, the new war, for example, was totally left hanging. Like, we had the Scarlet Spear event, and then that's it. Like, there hasn't really been a sort of ongoing new war thing, which is what they clearly intended to do, but they didn't. And so that storyline falls kind of flat to me because I felt like they were building up, but then it didn't really go anywhere. And there are other threads like in the new Deadlock Protocol content. I'm not going to spoil anything if people are listening, but you meet a character named Parvos Granum, and you're introduced to this figure, and the way that storyline is set up, it's clear that we're going to follow up on that, but that content just isn't in the game yet, which is understandable. It's fairly new.
Wait, I thought the Deadlock Protocol ended. Like, I thought it has a clear ending. I mean,
it does have a clear ending, but I'm just saying, like, there's kind of an epilogue setup that we're clearly going to revisit these events in some way. Like, later, they're like, mention of these characters will come back. These events will matter again later in some update that doesn't exist yet. I'm sure they didn't forget and they just don't have time. But the point is, when you keep making more like that, it becomes a problem.
How would you categorize your interest in Warframe? Is it, how many percent would it be on because of the content, because of your subscribers? How many percent would it be because of you and because you enjoy it?
Well,
and enjoying making content does not count.
Well, okay, I mean, that's why, so I'm gonna have to but yeah, I mean, so just to be clear, like, I have no pressure from my audience to continue making Warframe videos. It's not like people say to me, like, oh, you better not make something else, like, blah, 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 blah. Like,
but I mean, don't you pressure yourself, though? Because I do have that feeling.
Yeah, I mean, let's be blunt about my main YouTube channel. I have to keep making Warframe videos specifically. So I want to do that. I don't feel like I have to, but I do have to, And so, like, fortunately, I enjoy that process and I don't feel like I have to.
No matter what comes along, you're going to commit to your framework first?
Well, not no matter what. I mean, the easiest thing that could happen that would make me not do framework would be Digital Extremes will destroy Warframe as a game. And that is possible. I mean, for example, early this year, they changed status effects, and it really greatly reduced the diversity of status effects. There was kind of a point in using corrosive and viral and gas all on different kinds of weapons. And then they changed it, and now it's silly to use anything other than viral 90% of the time. And they've told us that they're going to change it, and they know there are problems with it, and blah, blah, blah.
Aren't you worried that upon, let's say, finishing framework, then they change it? Would you want to wait until they change it, only you start framework?
So I did that for a little while. You're full of good questions today about this. I did that for a while, and eventually I realized Warframe is a game where you really can't. You can't think of it that way. I restructured the series so that it should be resilient enough.
I think that bullet jumping makes the game um, less enjoyable. When you bullet jump through a garden, everything just like becomes lines. You don't get to focus, you don't get to enjoy. And then most of the times when you're bullet jumping, you're just like hit in the middle of, like, you have to go in gun blazing. Everyone, all the enemies are like all around you, and you have to deal with that. It has a way of making it feel very numbing. Not to mention, like, the way you bullet jump, you have to press the same keys over and over and over again. It's actually one of the things that I don't enjoy in Warframe. I used to, when they first introduced, I'm like, whoa, I can dash. But after, multiple years, it just becomes like, oh, I have to dash. It's no longer like, oh, I can dash. It's like, oh, I have to dash, because if you don't, you get left behind and there's nothing else to kill.
I have been gravitating toward builds that allow me to move quickly without bullet jumping. Something, and I didn't notice that until you said that just then. Like Volt Speed, you can just hold sprint and go. You don't have to, roll your hand across the keys, the bullet jump. The thing about moving quickly and not seeing the scenery, yeah, like I think it's a good point that the game focuses a lot on its visuals, but has a gameplay loop that forces you to ignore its visuals. That's a good point. But there are plenty of missions in Warframe where you can stay still, like not exterminates or captures or rescues, but defense and interception and survival. I don't disagree with the things that you're frustrated about. I just like a lot of them. I only play the game in a way that avoids them because that's what I enjoy. But I don't think of it as having to avoid the negative things. Really, I do feel like I hate having to level things up. I think that's a huge hassle. I don't enjoy that. A lot of people find grinding relaxing, and I don't.
What you did is actually the right thing to do. It's like saying, okay, if I want to play tennis, and obviously you choose to not wear a coat when you're playing tennis, right?
Yeah,
So
yeah.
yeah. So you're just basically finding ways to, okay, if I have to wear a coat, I'll play in the winter, something like that. So you're
Mhm.
just finding ways around, which I don't think it's avoiding. It's just being, uh, I think it's just good management, in my opinion.
Yeah, I mean, I do that with everything. I see. That's a very good way to put it. That's a very charitable way to put it as well. That is how it feels. Well, what I was asking you was, for example, in Warframe, you're saying, I don't like that the game is pretty, but I have to move through it quickly. The game is co-op, but I don't get to play with the other players and enjoy that. The game doesn't have a competitive side. The game has buildcraft, but I feel like it can reach a natural conclusion. So you're going to keep playing video games. What are you going to do to avoid that in the future?
Probably going to find something that could do those things, but they do it the right way. Here we have Xandypants, who is still very into Warframe, and if you are interested and still want more Warframe content, go ahead and check out his channel. It's going to start something called Framework, which he talks about all the different frames and how to max it. Am I right?
Yeah, I wouldn't say min-max, just like what they can do that can be really fun and effective.
Okay. And yeah, so go and check him out. I'll put his channel link down in the description. And that's it. Thank you very much for
Please call me Xandy, and you should check out Zelp's Apprise channel because it is what I'm going to be watching while I make framework to get my philosophy fix while making my buildcraft videos.
Ooh.
So I'm sure that's linked in the description as well.
Okay. Bye bye. I think that was okay.
Acceptable, yeah.